welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new, my name is LORENAAGUIRRE and I post here on my YouTube channel every Monday and Saturday, so please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And let's go ahead and show you guys how to make acrylic press-on nails. Alright, so first off, we're going to start off with a little stand. I wanted to replace some of the sticky tabs that I have on here, just because I did feel like the sticky tabs, like some of them were no longer sticky, and I felt like if I started filing on them and stuff, like I feel like the nail would just fall off and plop and things like that, or if I was applying the acrylic. And so I did not want that to happen. So you guys might be wondering, why am I doing this instead of applying the acrylic onto my natural nails? Just because, if you guys know, I've been a nail tech for quite some time now. But the reason why I wanted to do this was because a lot of times, like, I try to put content out there or ideas for my clients and things like that on my Instagram. And honestly, prepping the nail, applying the tips and things like that, the tips are very expensive and the full cover tips are a little bit cheaper. So with that being said, I do like to apply the acrylic and kind of do different ideas on these nails, just so I'm not wasting so much product and things like that. And so it just helps me a lot more and makes my life a lot easier as a content creator, nail tech. So yeah, so that was the whole reason for this. But this is my second set doing like this, and honestly, you guys, I feel like it has helped me so much, especially because if you guys don't know, I do have an allergy to the product. So the acrylic and the monomer, it does make my skin flare up. So every time I would do a set on myself and try to show you guys different things that I was doing, I would end up having a flare up and I would have to pop the nails right off. So this ended up actually making it a lot easier. And so yeah, so I hope this way you guys are able to try, and I do feel like it's a good method for someone who is trying to save money on getting their nails done and they don't want to get their nails done. And if you could learn this, honestly, you guys, I feel like it would make your guys' life a lot easier. Or if you guys are just somebody wanting to learn how to apply acrylic, I do feel like this is also another great way. But to get the real effect in doing it, if you're somebody who's wanting to do it and do it on clients, I do recommend trying on yourself or trying on people who will let you, just because I do feel like doing it on press-ons and doing it on a person is completely different. But so I went ahead and applied my tips with the double-sided sticky tabs, and then now I'm going to go ahead and apply my acrylic. The monomer that I am using is from MONTAGE, and the acrylic I am using is MONTAGE in Desert Rose. This color is a very, very, very pretty color. Honestly, if I were to choose one nude to have out of the whole entire collection, it would definitely be this one, because I do feel like I'm able to put a lot of different things with it and pair it with. And two, it's one of my clients' favorites, so I do sell, or like, I don't know if I would say sell out, but I do use this one a ton more than the other ones. Everyone loves this color, which is a great thing because I love it too, and I do feel like it goes perfect with ombres and French tips and things like that. Alright, and I'm just going to go ahead and blend it, making sure that everything is nice and even. The neater you are with your application, the less you're going to have to go in file. So just keep that in mind if you guys are trying to make these for yourself. I do like using the full cover tips. You guys could also, if you guys do have the half tips where you would use to put on a full set, you can still use those and do a pop-off method, like I have done in other videos that I had done. But definitely recommend checking out my other videos, just because I do a lot of pop-off sets, and or I do a lot of work with me and I'm working with my clients. So when I am doing these sets, I do like to make sure I am sliding my brush along the sides and making sure I'm keeping that shape, just because I don't want to have to basically reshape the whole entire nail. And I feel like this helps guide me to just make it easier so that I know where my sides are, because sometimes I do feel like when you tend to get messy on the sides, it makes it a lot harder for your job, just because it's like trying to reshape the nail and finding the center of the shape of the nail and things like that. So whether it be press-on nails or you're working on a client, I do recommend keeping it as clean as you can. The size of brush that I am using is a size 12. And when you are doing the press-on nails, the luxury of this is that you're actually able to kind of flip them around a whole bunch of different ways, which I feel like is great because, I don't know, I feel like a lot of times when you're working on a client, it takes a lot longer, like flipping them this way and that way and things like that. But it is possible you can flip them the way you need. And sometimes it's just because it's like you're working on someone's hands, it's kind of hard to move them the way you need to. So just keep that in mind if you guys are somebody who is wanting to do acrylic nails and things like that. But I like to use the belly of my brush to kind of pat, 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 and then I start to swipe. I do kind of let the acrylic flow a little bit when I do place the bead. And you guys will kind of see that in the other clips, and I do try to make sure that I am getting any acrylic out of underneath the nail. I know it's kind of hard just because that tab, it just kind of goes on the whole thing. Or you guys could see that I go and I leave my bead and I kind of let it kind of settle a little bit before I start working with it right away, and I will clean off my brush and then put it back in the monomer. Honestly, I am a little bit bad about wiping my brush before I do put it back in the monomer, but for you guys, I definitely recommend making sure to always wipe your brush before you put it back in the monomer, just because it does tend to make your monomer go bad faster if you are not cleaning your brush off, just because that acrylic ends up going back into all of there, and it makes it very, the monomer very sap-like. So you guys could see I'm putting it on, and I'm kind of placing the brush down and kind of dragging it and tapping it, dragging it and tapping it, just so the bead of acrylic will go across the whole entire nail. With shorter nails, you won't have to do that, just because I do notice in shorter nails it's just a whole lot easier. But now I'm going to go ahead and blend that bead up. I don't want any harsh lines when I am doing these sets, just because I do feel like if you were to flip them over, you are able to kind of see like where you placed that first bead and then went over it with a second one. So I am trying to do this method where I do blend up as well, not only blend down. And even when I am working on these press-on nail tips, I like to angle this fake nail down, just because I do feel like it allows the flow of the product go to where I need it, and it starts to almost level itself in a way. And then I kind of look at it from the side, and then if I do need more on the apex, of course I'm going to go ahead and add some. But I do always recommend looking at the nails in a lot of different angles and add where you feel like you need, especially if there are any dips in the nail, because sometimes that will tend to happen where there will be a big old dent in the center of the nail, and then you go and file and you feel like you filed your nail too thin. When you're working on the press-on nail tips, just because they do have a little bit of an apex to them already, you definitely don't need to be working with huge beads of acrylic, since it already has a little bit of that shape. If they're more flat, you might feel like you might need to add a little bit more acrylic, and that's something that I would recommend, just because some nail tips I do feel like are flatter than others. But I feel like depending on your client that is buying from you, I do recommend to ask them maybe how their nail beds are, if they're flat, if they're more rounded. Just because I do feel like the more flatter nail tips, they don't work for everyone, and I do feel like the ones that they have a natural apex in their nails, I do feel like sometimes these flatter ones, they don't go on their nails as well, but you could get some that already have that apex in there, and their nails fit perfectly. But now I'm going to go ahead and get an 80/80 grit, and I'm going to be starting to go on the first nail that I had started to apply the acrylic with. And I'm going to let that last one dry, just because if I did try to file right now, it would end up, all the acrylic would completely come off of it and it would ruin the nail. So now I'm going to go ahead and go do a line in the center, you guys could see right there, and then I am going to be connecting the sides to the center of the nail. And I'm going to be looking from different angles to make sure that everything looks nice and even, just because I do feel like when I was a beginner nail tech, something that I would notice is when I would look from the sides, that one side, or if I would look from the tip of the nail, I did notice that one side would be higher than the other side. So to make sure that your tips look like actual acrylics and things like that, you want to make sure that your application and everything is neat as possible. And if your application isn't neat, the files, honestly, you guys, it will take care of the rest. So as long as you know how to file the nails and things like that, your work will be looking perfect. But so just keep that in mind. The file that I do like to use is 8080 grit. This is one that is not recommended to use on natural nails because it will just end up completely going through your natural nails. So if you are prepping your nails for these press-on nails, I would definitely not recommend using this file. I would definitely recommend using something softer. I know sometimes people, they think something more abrasive like the 8080 grits, they feel like their nails will stick even better, but no. All you need to do is remove that shine from the nail and dehydrate and prime if you want your press-on nails to stay on longer. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead, after I got done buffing, I used a sponge buffer, and that is something I would recommend for everyone to get their hands on. I love sponge buffers, and I swear by them. And now I'm going to go ahead, once I got all those scratches out, I'm going to go ahead and go in with my matte top coat. You guys could go in with a glossy one or matte. It is totally up to you. But I personally like to do my French tips over matte just because I do feel like it does make my job a whole lot easier. Unless I am on a time crunch, I will end up not doing the matte, but that is usually when I am having a client right after and I am like kind of in a rush. Right, and I do like to stroke the other way as well, just because I feel like otherwise the top of the nail, it will end up tending to puddle up, so that nice apex that you have, it almost looks as if the apex is gone. So I do recommend stroking up if you guys are doing press-on nails, just because I do feel like the gel tends to puddle up at the top. Now in this time while my nails are curing, this is the time that I use to clean out all of my... Alright guys, now that I am done tidying up my desk, I am just going to go ahead and go in with my French tip. I like to use a thin liner brush. You guys could use a thicker one for this if you'd like. This is just the one that I always gravitate towards. And I'm just going to try to make an almond shape and outline it. I do want to let you guys know that doing French tips are so tedious, and if you're anything like me, you will nitpick them to death. And making sure that everything is even, each side is uniform. I know a lot of people, they complain about the price of French tip nowadays, but look how many times I go back and forth and I clean up. And I go back over here, I clean up over here, I clean up over there. So, I mean, some people, if they're just naturally pros at doing this, I mean, they are a godsend, because French tips are actually very, very hard, and especially trying to make them all uniform on each and every single nail is very difficult. And imagine having to do it on a live person where they are moving around and things like that. Doing it on a press-on nail set like this, I do feel like it is a little bit easier. But doing it on an actual client, you guys, ooh, some of my clients will move the whole entire time, and as many times as I tell them to like not move, or like wait, stay still, like then they still move. So sometimes I do notice, even when my clients are on their phone, they'll start swiping, and I feel like once they have their nails on and it comes to the artwork, they already feel good about themselves, so they just start moving all over the place, swiping through their phone and stuff. So I do feel like sometimes a lot of times, it is a lot harder on a live human being than it is on a client. On press-on nails, sorry. But yeah, so if you're doing them on press-on nails, so much easier. But so that is pretty much why the price is what it is. Otherwise, because I do feel like having one thin line off will just throw the whole look off, or one lump and bump on the free edge part. So I really strive to make sure that my thing is like just perfect on each side. It looks uniform. Flip it back and forth and look at it from different angles. So with that being said, I am a very picky person, so that is pretty much why I do what I do. But yeah. But now I'm going to go ahead, while the gel is still wet, I am going to go ahead and apply it, and I'm going to pat just on the sides of the nail. I'm going to pat that glitter in, and I'm going to put it into the light for 30 seconds. I'm not going to be showing you guys every time I put it into the light, but just know after I sprinkle that glitter on, I am popping that into the light. The reason why I do it this way is because it has chances of messing up if the nail tip is dropped, or say if you're doing this on a client, it just has time for them to mess it up or things like that, or for you to actually even mess it up by accidentally patting their nail or bumping into it and things like that. So that is what it looks like, you guys. I was so excited about it. I even had to put it up to my finger just to show you guys, like, this is what it's going to be looking like. But make sure to stay tuned for the end, because I am going to be doing a try on too. So I'm going to show you guys what these look like, and I'm not going to prep all crazy like that. I am just going to be applying them so you guys could kind of see what they look like and things like that. Alright, now right here you guys can see I'm kind of just looking at them and over analyzing them to see what the next one, if I'm going to want to do it different. This is kind of a little hack to do if you are doing the press on nails. Put the tips side by side to see exactly where your French tip starts, and I feel like that makes it a lot easier. And I do want to show you guys, like right here, I do make it look easy, that it was like, okay, I'm done applying it, I did my 2 lines, and I just got to fill it in. And I could have edited the video like that, but in all honesty, you guys, I wanted to show you guys the real trial and error with doing a French tip, and this isn't even on a client, so imagine doing this but 10 times worse, or I don't want to say worse, but 10 times harder. But yeah, now I'm going to go ahead and fill that in, and then on this part you do want to make sure you are very gentle and you are not going past your lines and things like that, just because if you go past the lines, it will end up making it to where your area doesn't look as smooth, and you might have to go back in and clean up a lot more. I know from this angle it looks like the French tip is perfect, but I do feel like when I was looking at it dead on, this side it needed to be kind of in a little bit more, just so then the design will end up thinning out the fingers instead of making the fingers look more chubbier. And I do like to flip them back and forth like this. You guys could see that this actually makes it easier, and just kind of looking at it in this way, it shows me if one side is higher than the other and things like that. So I do like to flip them any which way. And this brush that I am using, this is actually a 3D brush. I do find that using 3D brushes make this a whole lot easier, just because I do feel like since the French tip is more of an almond shaped, it is harder to get one of those rounded ones in there. Alright you guys, now I'm going to go ahead and do some final touches, and I am going to be finishing up the other ones and applying the glitter to them before I put them in light. And again, you want to really make sure that the gel is wet before you put it in, just so then you're able to sprinkle that raw glitter on them. And then for this design, you don't want to have to top coat the glitter, just because with raw glitter I do feel like it shines prettier when it's not top coated. I know some people it bothers them, but yeah. For you guys, now I'm gonna go ahead and apply these, and you guys can see, look how freaking cute these came out. I love these. I'm so excited for you guys to see the final look of them. And the glue that I did end up using is the one all the way to the right. It is a brush-on glue from MONTAGE. This is another glue that I would definitely recommend if you want to have your nails stick super fast. That stuff is the bomb. You guys can see, just like that, they are sticking to the nail. And I am scraping off that stuff because some of the tips that I pulled off of the mount, they did end up having that sticky back come off with it, so I did end up having to scrape that off. And I'm just going to use that glue, and I'm not going to keep these press-on nails on. I just wanted to be able to show you guys, but I just put a very little amount of it on there, so you guys might not see, or you guys will see me like just lightly going in and just kind of dabbing it where I need it, and then pressing them down. You guys, look how freaking cute. I'm gonna show you guys in a second the way the glitter shines, because the glitter in person is so freaking bomb. I love it. You guys can see how excited I am about these. But you guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed today's video. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you feel like this video was useful. If you guys have any questions or comments, make sure to leave them down below. And this is the glitter. Look how freaking cute. I love it so much, you guys. You guys have a blessed day, and thank you so much for watching.